I never thought I'd be the guy writing one of these posts, but here I am. If you had asked me a year ago if I trusted my wife, I would have laughed and said, of course. She's my best friend. Funny how fast things change. Amy and I had been married for 10 years. Not a fairy tale but a solid partnership. We had a house, shared responsibilities, and blended family struggles like any other couple. We weren't perfect, but I thought we were in it together. I was wrong. It started on an ordinary Wednesday night. I remember because I had just gotten home from work, exhausted, and looking forward to dinner. Amy had cooked her apology meal. At the time, I didn't know it was an apology. I just thought she was in a good mood. She had made my favorite steak, mashed potatoes, and roasted vegetables. A glass of red wine was already poured for me. Wow, I said, sitting down. What's the occasion? She smiled, but it wasn't her usual smile. It was tight, forced. I just wanted to have a nice dinner with you. Something felt off. But I ignored it. Halfway through the meal, she set down her fork and took a deep breath. Cliff, I need to tell you something. My stomach dropped before she even said the words. I just knew. I've been seeing someone. I didn't say anything. I just put my fork down and stared at her. It's not what you think, she rushed on. It's not serious. It's just a distraction. Something fun. It doesn't change how I feel about you. My brain struggled to keep up. A distraction? Fun. Like this was some kind of hobby. Who? I asked, my voice eerily calm. She hesitated. That pause told me everything. Cody, she finally admitted. Cody. The gym teacher at the school where she worked. Younger than her by almost 10 years. I had met him once at a school event. He had one of those smug faces, like he thought he was God's gift to women. I remember Amy laughing at something he said, a little too much, but I had brushed it off. You're sleeping with him? My hands were under the table, clenched into fists. She shook her head. No. It's not like that. I let out a bitter laugh. Then what is it like, Amy? She sighed, exasperated, as if I was the unreasonable one. We talk. We flirt. We've kissed a few times. Kissed. A few times. And you think that's not cheating? Amy rolled her eyes. I didn't say that. I'm telling you because I don't want to lie to you anymore. Oh, how noble of her. I leaned back in my chair, studying her. She wasn't crying. She wasn't begging for forgiveness. She was explaining, like this was just some unfortunate situation she had to manage. So, what now? I asked. She reached for my hand. I pulled away. I don't want to lose you, Cliff, she said softly. I love you. I don't want to stop seeing him either. I stared at her, barely believing what I was hearing. She wasn't asking for forgiveness. She was asking for permission. That was the moment something inside me snapped. She thought she could have both of us. She thought she could cheat, admit to it, and then just keep going like nothing had changed. She had no idea what was coming. I didn't say much after that. I just sat there, staring at Amy like she was a stranger. Maybe she was. So, she finally asked, breaking the silence. What are you thinking? I looked down at my plate. The meal she had cooked, my favorite, suddenly felt like a last meal before an execution. I need some time, I said, to process this. She nodded, like she understood, but I could see the relief in her face. She thought I was going to let this slide. That maybe I'd just be upset for a little while, then we'd talk it out and she'd get to keep playing her little game. I wasn't going to argue with her. Not yet. Because here's the thing, when someone betrays you, they expect anger. They expect yelling, accusations, maybe even tears. What they don't expect: silence. Come. A plan. That night, I didn't sleep much. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment in my head. All the time she had come home late. The sudden interest in going to the gym. The way she had been more distant, but when I asked if something was wrong, she brushed it off. It was all there, right in front of me, but I had been too blind to see it. At around 3 a.m., I grabbed my phone and started digging. Amy wasn't the type to be reckless with her phone. She had always been private about it, but never in a way that made me suspicious. That night, though, I noticed her phone sitting on the nightstand, unlocked. Maybe she thought I wouldn't dare check it. She was wrong. I opened her messages. There weren't any from Cody. Of course, she had deleted them. But I knew better. I went to her email and checked the deleted folder. And there it was. An email from him, sent just 3 days ago. Can't stop thinking about you. I hate sneaking around, but I love every second I get with you. Let's meet after school again. Same place. My blood went ice cold. Amy stood beside me, and I quickly locked her phone and set it down. I stared at the ceiling again, this time with a different kind of clarity. I wasn't just going to leave. I wasn't just going to let this go. Amy wanted to play games? Fine. But she was about to lose everything. The next morning, Amy acted like everything was fine. She kissed me on the cheek before leaving for work, like she hadn't just admitted to having an emotional affair with some gym rat. I played along. I told her I needed some space to think. She nodded, said she understood, then left with a weird sort of relief in her eyes, like she had gotten away with something. But I wasn't about to let this slide. The first thing I did was call my buddy Mark. Mark and I had been friends since college, and he was one of those guys who always had a plan. He was also a tech wizard, which was exactly what I needed. "You okay, man?" he asked as soon as he picked up. I hesitated, then told him everything. Mark whistled. "Damn. And she just told you like that? She must think you're a joke." "Yeah," I muttered. "But she's about to find out otherwise." I explained my plan. I wanted proof. Solid, undeniable proof of what she was doing. If I was going to destroy her and Cody, I needed receipts. Mark was all in. "Say no more. Let's set this up." That afternoon, we got to work. First, we installed a keylogger on Amy's laptop. Every keystroke she made, I would see. Every email, every message. Nothing would be hidden from me anymore. Next, I went to our phone carrier and pulled up her call and text records. No messages, of course. She was smart enough to delete them. But I saw his number pop up a lot. Then, the final piece, a GPS tracker in her car. It was cheap, easy to install, and would tell me exactly where she was going when she stayed late at work or went on her solo gym sessions. By the end of the day, I had everything in place. Now, all I had to do was wait. And it didn't take long. That evening, while Amy was in the shower, I checked the keylogger. There it was. A fresh email from her to Cody. I told him. He didn't freak out, just said he needed time. "I think it'll be okay. Let's be careful though." Oh, Amy. You have no idea how not okay things are about to be. For the next few days, I played my part perfectly. I was the understanding husband, the guy who needed time to process his emotions. Amy ate it up, acting like she had done me some kind of favor by being honest. She had no idea I was tracking her every move. The GPS tracker showed the truth real fast. 2 nights after her confession, she left home at 6 p.m., claiming she was staying late at work to grade papers. By 6:30, her car was parked behind some cheap motel on the other side of town. I sat in my own car a block away, gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. I could feel the rage boiling in my chest, but I didn't move. Not yet. I waited. At 7:45, she came out, looking around nervously before hurrying to her car. And right behind her? Cody. This wasn't just some flirting. This wasn't just a distraction. Amy had been lying through her teeth. She wasn't just seeing him. She was sleeping with him. I took pictures. Not the best ones, but enough to show them together. Enough to prove she had been lying to my face. But that wasn't enough. I needed more. So I kept tracking her. The next night, she made a similar excuse, working late again. This time, she went to his place. I didn't follow. I didn't need to. The tracker, the texts I was collecting from her laptop, and the pictures I had taken were enough to piece everything together. She had been fooling around with him for at least 3 months. And the worst part? She really thought she could get away with it. I wasn't just angry anymore. I was focused. Because now, it was my turn to play. I had all the proof I needed, but gathering evidence was just step 1. Step 2. Making sure they suffered. Amy thought she was in control of the situation. She thought she had options. That she could cheat, tell me just enough to keep me around, and still sneak off with her little gym boy. She had no idea her world was about to burn. Phase 1. Turning her own words against her. The next morning, I acted completely normal. Kissed her on the cheek, asked about her day, even packed her a lunch. She had no clue I had seen everything. Meanwhile, I went through her messages again. There was one particular message that caught my eye. Cody, he's never going to leave you. He's too weak. Just keep acting like you feel bad, and he'll stay. Then you can have both of us. That one made my blood boil. But Amy's response was what really got me. Amy, yeah, I think you're right. He's never been the type to do anything crazy. I just need to be careful. She wasn't just cheating. She was mocking me. She thought I was weak. That was the moment my plan changed. Before, I just wanted revenge. Now, I wanted her to feel what I felt. Phase 2. Making her look like a fool. Amy worked at a private school. A nice one. The kind where teachers were expected to maintain a certain image. And guess what? The school had a strict policy about workplace relationships. Especially inappropriate ones. I made a copy of every text and email. Every single one. Then I put it all in a nice, organized folder. One for her boss. One for the school board. One for Cody's boss at the gym where he worked part-time. Oh, and just for good measure, one for her parents. I wasn't going to send them yet. No. That would come later. First, I needed one final act to really twist the knife. So I waited. And when the time was right, I set the perfect trap. I wasn't just going to expose them, I wanted to humiliate them. I wanted Amy and Cody to realize, in real time, that their little fantasy world was about to crash down around them. So, I set the stage. Amy had been acting like she was walking on eggshells around me, checking in on how I was feeling, playing the caring wife while still sneaking off to Cody. I played along. Told her I wanted to talk things through. Maybe even work things out. That was the hook. I suggested a romantic dinner at home that weekend. Just the two of us. A way to reconnect. She agreed immediately, probably thinking she had one. But I wasn't the only one planning a dinner. See, I had also reached out to Cody's girlfriend. Oh yeah, did I forget to mention? Cody was in a relationship too. Her name was Becca. I found her through some light social media stalking. One simple message: we need to talk about Cody and Amy. And she was in. She didn't know the full story yet, but she was already suspicious. Apparently, Cody had been acting different lately, and she had her doubts. So I filled her in. Sent her the texts, the emails, the location tracking screenshots. At first, she was in denial. Then, she was furious. And that's when we made a plan together. We were going to expose them at the same time. I invited Becca over for dinner that night. She agreed. Amy thought it was going to be a romantic evening to rebuild our marriage. Cody, I assumed, thought he was in the clear. Neither of them had any idea that tonight was the night everything would blow up in their faces. The night had to be perfect. Not for Amy. Oh no, she didn't deserve perfect. But for me. For Becca. For the moment when both Amy and Cody would realize just how badly they had screwed up. Amy spent the whole afternoon getting ready for our big dinner. She put on makeup, fixed her hair, even wore that red dress she knew I liked. I could tell she thought she was winning, that I was falling for her act. But inside, I was counting down the minutes. I had already set the pieces in motion. Becca was on her way. Cody was clueless. And Amy? Well, she was about to walk right into her worst nightmare. Setting the table for disaster. I had cooked dinner myself, something I rarely did. I made it look like I was making an effort to rekindle things. Amy was eating it up. This really means a lot to me, she said, smiling across the candlelit table. I forced a smile back. I just want to make sure we're honest with each other moving forward. Her smile faltered for half a second. But she recovered quickly. Of course. That's all I want too. Liar. She had no idea I had already sent anonymized emails earlier that day. To her boss. To the school board. To Cody's gym manager. To her parents. Not exposing everything yet. Just a teaser. A little taste of what was coming. I wanted them all on edge. As Amy sipped her wine, I checked my phone under the table. Becca was here. Showtime. The door opens. The truth walks in. I got up casually. I need to grab something. Be right back. Amy nodded, completely unaware that her world was about to end. I walked to the front door, opened it, and there stood Becca. She was shaking, not from nerves, but from rage. You sure about this? She whispered. I nodded. Oh yeah. Let's finish this. She took a deep breath and stepped inside. I led her to the dining room. Amy looked up, still smiling, until she saw Becca. That's when everything changed. Amy blinked, confused. What's going on? I sat down. Becca stayed standing, her hands clenched into fists. I think we need to have a talk. Amy swallowed hard. Cliff? I leaned back in my chair. Amy, do you want to tell Becca where you were 3 nights ago? Or should I? The color drained from Amy's face. Becca stepped forward. Actually, let's make this easier. Cody should be here for this, don't you think? Amy froze. That was it. That was the moment she knew she was caught. Her voice wavered. I don't know what you mean. Don't play dumb, I said, my voice colder than I'd ever heard it. We know. About Cody. About the motel. About all of it. Amy opened her mouth to deny it, but then Becca pulled out her phone. Screenshots. Texts. Emails. Locations. Amy stopped breathing. Becca threw her phone down on the table. Explain this. Amy's eyes darted between us. She was trapped, and she knew it. I can explain, she stammered. I crossed my arms. Then go ahead. Explain. Silence. Nothing. Because there was no explanation. And then, right on cue, Cody walked in. Cody walks into his own funeral. Cody froze in the doorway when he saw all of us. Amy sitting there looking like a ghost, me calm as hell, and Becca looking like she was ready to set the house on fire. What's going on? He asked slowly. Becca turned to him, her voice dripping with venom. Oh, just having dinner with the 2 people who have been lying to us for months. Care to sit? Cody visibly swallowed. He looked at Amy, then back at me, then at Becca. He knew. I gestured to the empty seat across from Amy. Sit. Cody. Let's have a chat. He didn't move. Amy's hands were shaking. Cody, don't what? Becca snapped. Don't tell the truth? Don't admit what you've been doing. Amy was panicking now. Cody, we should go. I chuckled. Oh, you should definitely go. Just not together. That's when I reached into my pocket and pulled out my phone. The final blow. I tapped a few buttons and turned the screen toward Amy and Cody. A video. Of them. Taken from the motel parking lot 3 nights ago. Amy getting out of Cody's car. Cody kissing her. I had been sitting in my own car just across the street, recording everything. Amy's mouth fell open. Cody went pale. You. Amy's voice cracked. You were following me? No, I said, keeping my voice level. I was collecting evidence. Cody took a step back. This is crazy. Becca stood up. You know what's crazy, Cody? Me supporting you while you cheated on me with a married woman. Amy buried her face in her hands. Oh my God. I wasn't done. I stood up and slid a stack of printed papers onto the table. I've already sent everything to your boss, I told Amy. To the school board. To Cody's manager at the gym. And oh, just to keep things fair, I sent them to both your parents, too. Amy looked like she was about to pass out. Cliff, please. I cut her off. No. No more lies. No more games. You wanted to have your fun? Well, here's the price. You just lost everything. Cody turned to Becca. Baby, please, let's talk. Becca slapped him across the face. Don't you dare call me that. Cody stood there, jaw clenched, probably wanting to hit something, but he knew better. Amy looked up at me, tears streaming down her face. Cliff. I love you. I laughed. Actually laughed. You don't even know what love is, Amy. Then I turned to Becca. You ready to go? She nodded, wiping her eyes. Yeah. I'm done here. We left them sitting there, Amy sobbing at the table, Cody standing there like an idiot. And just like that, the two of them were left alone to deal with the mess they had made. The night wasn't over yet. Amy was about to face way worse consequences. But for now, I was going to enjoy the sweet, sweet silence of her world burning down. The drive away from that disaster was quiet at first. Becca and I were both still running on adrenaline, but after a few minutes, she let out a deep breath and shook her head. I can't believe I didn't see it, she muttered. I kept my hands on the wheel, eyes on the road. Yeah, same. Silence again. Then she laughed. Not the happy kind. The bitter kind. I was actually planning to surprise him with a trip, she said. A getaway for just us. I thought maybe he was just stressed, and that's why he was acting weird. Turns out, I was just an idiot. I glanced at her. You're not an idiot. She scoffed. Well, I feel like one. I understood that feeling all too well. Becca sniffed, wiped her eyes, and straightened up. What now? I mean, what's your next move? I exhaled slowly. Now. I watched them crash and burn. Amy's job, gone. The next morning, I got my first update. Amy's boss called her in first thing. I didn't have to be there to know how that conversation went. The private school she worked at had a strict moral clause. Teachers were held to a high standard, and anything that could damage the school's reputation was grounds for termination. And, well, what's more damaging than a married teacher sleeping with a younger male staff member? By noon, Amy was fired. Not suspended. Fired. She called me 7 times. I didn't answer. Cody's career. Destroyed. Cody thought he was untouchable. Young, fit, charming, the kind of guy who coasted through life on good looks and confidence. Too bad for him. His manager at the gym didn't appreciate having a scandal attached to their business. I didn't even have to say much when I sent the emails. The screenshots spoke for themselves. By the afternoon, Cody was let go. Not only that, but the gym made a public statement on social media about severing ties with an employee due to inappropriate conduct. Cody's side hustle as a personal trainer? Gone. His main job at the school? Gone. His reputation? Absolutely torched. Amy's family? Furious. I got a text from Amy's mother around 4 p.m. Amy, please Cliff, can we talk? My parents know. They're furious. I don't know what to do. I didn't reply. Then, an hour later, another message. Amy, my dad just called me disgusting. He won't even look at me. Please, can we talk? Oh. Amy. You didn't care when you were sneaking around. But now. Now you want to talk? Becca's revenge. Brutal. I checked in with Becca later that night. She was thriving. Guess what? She said, voice full of satisfaction. I just dumped all of Cody's stuff outside the apartment. Blocked his number. Let him come home to a pile of trash. I smirked. Nice touch. She sighed. You know the worst part? He actually tried to call me earlier, acting like I overreacted. I shook my head. Some people never learn. Becca laughed. Yeah. But at least now, I don't have to waste any more time on him. And just like that, Cody lost everything too. The final blow. Divorce papers. The next day, I sent Amy the divorce papers. She showed up at my doorstep, eyes swollen from crying. Cliff, please, can't we just talk about this, she begged. I looked at her, really looked at her. And for the first time, I didn't feel pain. I felt nothing. No, Amy, I said. We can't. I handed her the papers and shut the door in her face. Game. Over. Amy and Cody thought they could play me. They thought they could sneak around, lie, and get away with it. But they didn't realize that sometimes, the quiet ones hit back the hardest. And when we do, we make sure there's nothing left standing. After I handed Amy the divorce papers and shut the door in her face, I stood there for a few minutes, listening. I expected her to knock again, maybe beg some more, maybe scream. But there was just silence. Then, finally, a deep, shaky breath. And footsteps retreating down my porch. I looked through the peephole just in time to see her getting into her car, gripping the steering wheel like she was about to break down. I didn't feel bad. Not one bit. She had made her choices. And now, she was alone with the consequences. Amy's downfall continues. For the next few days, Amy spiraled. I didn't have to hear from her to know. The whispers spread fast. First, her old co-workers. Teachers loved gossip, and private schools were a small, close-knit world. By the end of the week, every single teacher at that school knew why she got fired. Some of them had even reached out to me. Cliff, man. I don't even know what to say. We all thought Amy was solid. Bro, she tried to act like you guys were just going through a rough patch. Then someone saw the screenshots. Yikes. She's screwed. No way another school hires her after this. Then came her family fallout. Her parents, who had once adored me, were completely disgusted with her. Her mom texted me. Cliff, I just want you to know how sorry I am for what Amy did. I didn't raise her to be like this. You deserved better. Damn right I did. Her dad? From what I heard, he wasn't even speaking to her. Refused to let her stay at their house. Amy had to move in with her sister, who wasn't exactly thrilled about it. And then, the final cherry on top. Her friends started dropping her. Turns out, nobody wanted to be around the cheating, lying mess who got caught. One of her close friends, Lisa, actually DM'd me. Hey. I just wanted to say I had no idea what Amy was doing. I feel sick about it. We're not really talking anymore. Hope you're okay. Cody's life? Even worse. I didn't check in on him personally, because I didn't care, but Becca kept me updated. Cody was homeless. After she threw his stuff out, he tried bouncing between friends' couches, but apparently, he wasn't as popular as he thought. His gym job? Gone. His teaching job? Gone. And since Amy was out of a job too, he didn't even have her to leech off of. The last I heard, he was living with his older brother, who wasn't thrilled about taking him in. Good. Rot, buddy. Amy's last pathetic attempt. A week after serving her the divorce papers, Amy texted me again. I almost ignored it, but curiosity got the best of me. Amy, can we talk? Please. I stared at my phone. What was there to talk about? But something in me wanted to hear what she had to say. So, I told her she could meet me at a coffee shop. Public place. Neutral ground. She showed up looking like she hadn't slept in days. No makeup. Hair a mess. Dark circles under her eyes. I didn't feel an ounce of sympathy. She sat down, stirring her coffee like she was afraid to speak. Finally, she sighed. I don't even know where to start. I leaned back. Then let me help. You threw away our marriage for a loser. You lost your job. Your friends don't trust you. Your own family barely tolerates you now. How's that for a start? She flinched. I made a mistake. I laughed. A mistake is forgetting an anniversary. You had an affair for months, Amy. That's not a mistake. That's a choice. Tears welled up in her eyes. I thought I wanted something different. I thought Cody made me feel young again. But I was wrong. I crossed my arms. Too late for regrets now. She reached for my hand. I pulled away. Cliff, is there any way you could forgive me? That was when I knew she still didn't get it. I smirked. Forgive you? No. Amy. I don't forgive you. I don't hate you either. I nothing you. She stared at me, processing that. I stood up, tossed a few bucks on the table for my coffee, and looked her in the eye one last time. Have a nice life, Amy. Then I walked away. The final chapter. After that meeting, I blocked her number. Didn't look back. Didn't check in. Didn't wonder how she was doing. I was done. The divorce went through smoothly. Since Amy had no job and no leverage, she didn't even fight me on anything. I kept the house. I kept the savings. She walked away with nothing. Where are they now? Amy, last I heard, she was working some random retail job and still single. Nobody wanted to date the cheating teacher. Cody apparently left town. Guess burning every bridge wasn't a great life plan. Becca. She moved on fast. Met someone new, thriving. We still check in from time to time. And me? I rebuilt. Took time for myself. Hit the gym. Traveled. Met someone new. Someone who actually respects me. It took time, but I'm happier than ever. And Amy? She lost everything. All for some stupid fantasy that was never real. Play stupid games. Win stupid prizes. And me? I won my freedom.